Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Diva Kalila, and today I will present our group presentation material, and I will explain about the introduction and summary of the case. Human rights are the fundamental possessed by every human being and must be protected by the state. One of the most serious violations human rights in Indonesia was the 1984 TanjungPriok tragedy. This incident began when two members of Babinsa entered the As-Sa'adah mosque and removed pamphlet demanded of the critical of the government. This action sparked outrage among residents and led to the arrest of several people. Attempt at a peaceful resolution failed, so on September 12, 1984, approximately 1,500 residents staged a protest. When confirmed by armed officials, a shootout ensued resulting in numerous fatalities and injuries. The investigation revealed serious human rights violations, including extrajudicial killings, arbitrary arrests, torture, and enforced disappearance. The case was later tried in the Human Rights Court, but most of the defendants were eventually acquitted through the appeals and cassation process. The Tanjung Priok tragedy served as an important lesson regarding the necessity of respecting human rights and upholding fair law enforcement in Indonesia. And next part will be explained by the other member group, Laila Imtiaz, Anglestiana, and Nimade Laksmini.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. First thing first, I will introduce myself. So, my name is Laila Imtiaz Ramadhani Ajani. I'm from International Class Batch 3 NIM D1024 10182. So, on this occasion, I will explain the theory and legal framework of human rights, or in Indonesian we call it HAM or hak asasi manusia. So the first material will be definition and characteristic of human right. So what is human right? Human rights are fundamental rights inherent in every human being from birth as a gift from God. These rights are not granted by the state, rather they are naturally possessed by every person. Therefore, the state has an obligation to recognize, respect, and protect them. In international law, human rights are understood as a legal guarantees that protect every individual from oppression, discrimination, and arbitrary action. Human rights have several important characteristics. First, they are universal, meaning they apply to everyone regardless of nationality, religion, race, or any social status. Second, they are inalienable, meaning they cannot be taken away. Third, they are indivisible, meaning all rights are interconnected and cannot be separated from one another. In addition, there is principle of non-discrimination, which is prohibits unequal treatment based on race, religion, gender, language, or any other background. The second material will be state obligation regarding human rights. In the protection of human rights, the state has three main obligations. First is to respect, meaning the state must not engage in action that violate human rights, such as arbitrary, arbitrary detention or unlawful use of force. Second is to protect, meaning that the state must prevent human rights violation committed by other parties, whether individuals or groups. The third is to fulfill, meaning the state is required to provide policies, the facilities that enable people to fully enjoy their right, including the right to justice and remedies when those rights are violated. Third material will be gross human right violation. So, gross human right violation are extremely serious crimes because they cause great suffering to humanity and threaten fundamental human values. Under Indonesian law, based on law number 26 of 2000 concerning the Human Rights Court, gross human rights violation consists of two categories, which is genocide and crime against humanity. Genocide refers to act committed with the intention of destroying all part of national, races, ethnic, or religious group. Meanwhile, crime against humanity are acts such as murder, torture, slavery, enforced disappearance, or forced displacement of population that are carried out and whisper or systematic manner against civilian population. An incident may be categorized as a crime against humanity is fulfills several elements. It is committed in whisper or systematic manner, the directed against civilians, and the perpetrator is aware that the act forms part of such an attack. Fourth material will be the right to life and civil liberties. The right to life is the most fundamental human right and is classified as a non-derigible right, meaning it cannot be limited or suspended under any circumstance, whether during normal condition or states or of emergency. In addition, there are civil liberties such as freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, and the freedom to peaceful expel option. The rights are essential, ensuring democratic life and respect for humanity. Okay, so the fifth material will be rule of law and accountability. As we know, Indonesia is a state based on the rule of law, as expressly stated in Article 1, Paragraph 3 of 1945 Constitution. This means that all government action must be based on law rather than they who has power. The principle of the rule of law includes supremacy of law, equality before the law, and due process of law, which guarantees fair legal procedures. When human rights violations occur, the state has an obligation to conduct investigation, provide remedies to victims, and prosecute perpetrators through a fair legal process. Human rights accountability includes two aspects: state responsibility to restore victim rights and individual criminal responsibility for perpetrators who commit or order such a violation. Next material is human rights legal framework. So, at the international level, the protection of human rights is based on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948, and the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, um, which guarantee the right to life, freedom, and protection from torture and arbitrary detention. In Indonesia, the legal basis for human rights is found of the 1945 Constitution, which is further elaborated through Law Number 39 of 1999 on human rights and Law Number 26 of 2000 concerning the Human Rights Code. Through this regulation, the state has a legal foundation to protect, enforce, and adjudicate gross human rights violation. In conclusion, human rights are fundamental rights inherent in every human being that must be respected, protected, and fulfilled by the state through a fair and accountable legal system. Thank you guys for attention. That's all for me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
The TanjungPriok tragedy of September 12, 1984 was not merely an isolated incident but a profound crime against humanity, and the Law Number 26 of 2000 to attack qualifies as widespread and systematic, evidenced by the premeditated deployment of heavily armed military force against civilians. Act of brutally ranging from direct gunfire to the clandestine nighttime disposal of victims' remains, and demonstrate that this was an organized operation, not a spontaneous clash. Throughout this tragedy, the state failed fundamentally in its obligations. Instead of protection to the security apparatus, stripped citizens of the right to life and suppressed civil liberties through arbitrary arrest and systematic torture in military detention centers. Even when community leaders attempt to engage in dialogue, their efforts were met with overwhelming military force. Ultimately, the proceedings of the ad hoc Human Rights Court left a deep scar on the pursuit of justice. The Supreme Court decision to revoke compensations for victims, coupled with the acquittal of key commanders, stands as a testament to the collapse of the rule of law. This failure of the judicial system not only fostered impunity but proved that the law had failed to act as a shield for the individual, serving instead to insulate the repressive abuse of power. Thank you.
Hello, I am Made Dwi Laksmini and I am part of the conclusion to this group. So the conclusion to this case was the TanjungPriok tragedy, which occurred on September 12, 1984, was a significant event in Indonesian history, demonstrating the tension between civil society and state officials during the New Order era. The incident cannot be separated from the prevailing social, political, and religious condition at the time, including government policies that sparked resistance from some Muslim communities. Various forms of criticism expressed through religious studies, sermons, and other media demonstrated the increasingly tense relationship between the community and the government, ultimately leading to an open conflict. The incident, which became known as the Tanjung Priok bloody tragedy, resulted in numerous casualties and suffering for the largely unnamed civilian population. In addition to the deaths and injuries, there were also allegations of arbitrary arrests, torture, and enforced disappearance. Therefore, this case and political conflict, but also a case containing element of gross human rights violations, specifically crimes against humanity, as stipulated in national and international human rights law. From a human rights perspective, the state has an obligation to respect, protect, and fulfill the basic rights of netizens. However, in the Tanjung Priok incident, the excessive use of force against civilians demonstrate an abuse of authority, resulting in violation of the right to live, civil liberties, and the right to fair legal protection. The social and economic factors underlying the lives of Tanjung Priok community also contribute to the tension that arose at the time. As a form of accountability, the Tanjung Priok Human Rights Court was established to try those suspected of involvement in these human rights violations. Although severe defendants were found guilty, the ongoing trial process continues to generate debate regarding justice for the victims and their families. Therefore, the Tanjung Priok tragedy serves as an important lesson for the Indonesian nation regarding the importance of upholding human rights, state accountability, and protecting citizens' right to prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future. Thank you.